There's a $200 promo everyone's talking about right now for the Starlink Mini. But almost nobody mentions the part that comes right after checkout. Powering it. I set one up from scratch this year, and the box doesn't tell you the one thing that decides whether this works great or becomes an expensive paperweight. Before you install anything, you need to see this. This video is for anyone about to buy a Starlink Mini in 2026. Van lifers, remote workers, campers, or anyone who just wants backup internet that fits in a backpack. I'm going to walk through exactly what's in the box, the real setup process, and the mistakes that trip up first-time owners. By the end, you'll know whether this is the right dish for you, and exactly how to set it up right the first time. Most people think the Starlink Mini is buy it, plug it in, done. The marketing makes it look that way: small dish, built-in Wi-Fi, no separate router. But here's the reality. This dish pulls real power, and how you power it changes your entire experience. It's small enough that it looks like something you could run off any USB battery pack you already own. Can't, not for long anyway. And that single misunderstanding is where most new owners run into trouble in week one. So what's actually in the box, and what does it cost right now? As of now, the Starlink Mini runs around $200 on promo for new customers, normally $250. The standard dish is about $350 and performs better if you're staying put. If you already own a standard dish, the Mini doesn't replace it. The standard still outperforms it on raw speed and range, so don't sell your existing setup thinking the Mini is a straight upgrade. It's not. It's a different tool for a different job. If you only ever need internet in one fixed spot, get the standard. If you need to move it, the Mini is the one to buy. Here's the payoff from the hook. The single biggest obstacle most people run into with the Mini is the power situation. As a mobile solution, powering it is genuinely challenging, and it adds to the cost of a device that's already not cheap. Starlink's own numbers put typical draw between 20 and 40 watts, with brief spikes higher during startup or heavy use. A small phone-style power bank in the 20,000 mAh range can actually run the Mini for a couple of hours. That's not nothing, but it's not an all-day solution either. Step up to a 100-watt-hour power station, something like a Jackery Explorer 100, and you're looking at closer to 3 to 4 hours. Go bigger into the 1,000-watt-hour class like an Anker C1000, and you've got enough capacity to run the Mini for well over a full day. The point isn't that phone banks are useless. It's that capacity has to match how long you'll actually be off-grid. Grabbing whatever's already in your bag is how people end up with a dead connection 6 hours into a weekend trip. Budget for the right size power source before install day, not after. And even with the right battery, where you point this thing matters just as much. So how do you actually set this up the first time? It really comes down to 3 steps: sky view, plan, power. First, find a spot with a clear, unobstructed view of the sky. Not mostly clear, fully clear. A single tree branch cutting across the dish's field of view will drop your connection every few minutes. And Starlink needs a much wider sky window than people expect. Second, activate or confirm your service plan before you go anywhere remote. If you're setting this up in a parking lot with no cell signal, and your plan isn't active yet, you're stuck. Do it on Wi-Fi the night before. Third, connect a proper power source, not whatever USB cable was closest to the checkout counter. A dish angled toward trees or a rooftop antenna will still power on and still connect to the app. It just won't perform well, and new owners often assume the hardware is broken when it's actually just obstructed. Use the built-in obstruction check inside the Starlink app before you commit to a spot. Move the dish, not your expectations. Here's where it actually gets expensive. Starlink overhauled its subscription tiers at the start of 2026, and the $50 base plan now includes 100 gigabytes of high-speed data, double what it used to offer. Once you hit that cap, speeds drop to a slow crawl rather than shutting off completely. You won't be fully offline, but you'll feel it. Pages take 15 seconds to load, video buffers endlessly, and Zoom calls become a slideshow. The $50 tier is perfectly fine for email, maps, and light browsing. A weekend camper checking weather and sending a few messages will comfortably stay under that cap all month. A remote worker doing 8 hours of video calls 5 days a week will blow through it in under 2 weeks. And someone streaming 4K video daily from a van will burn through 100 gigabytes in the first week flat. If you're a heavy streamer or full-time remote worker, Budget for the $165 unlimited plan from day one rather than getting throttled mid-trip. The worst feeling is hitting your data cap on day 6 of a 14-day trip with no way to upgrade until you're back in cell range. So, is the Starlink Mini worth it in 2026? If you're mobile van life, boating, remote work, camping, yes, especially at the current promo pricing. Its compact size, lightweight, low power draw, and built-in router make it the first Starlink dish that's genuinely portable. The Mini weighs less than 3 pounds and fits in a laptop sleeve. The standard dish needs its own carry case and a separate router. That difference alone changes how you think about bringing internet with you. But if you're only ever using it from one fixed location, the standard dish will outperform it for less hassle and give you better speeds in bad weather. I tested this so you don't have to make the same mistakes. After going through the setup myself, my take is this: the Starlink Mini earns its price for people who genuinely move around, but only if you budget for a real power source size to your trip from day one. Buying the wrong setup wastes money on hardware you didn't need, a plan that throttles you mid-trip, and a battery that runs out before you do. Let me know in the comments, are you setting this up for full-time travel or just for backup? I'll answer as many as I can.